Alright, so this one's called The Internet is Dead Theory.
The internet is dead
It's
and
a
we
short
are
one.
the killers. Truth
What do
doesn't
we do?
really exist online anymore. Bots have swamped social media with misinformation, and the web pages we surf today are almost entirely generated by AI. Even YouTube is flooded with channels completely run by AI with zero creative input from humans.
I used to work on AI. Yeah. And I even focused my university study on AI. My highest level class was AI and expert systems, and I got full marks. And I can tell you, AI can be scary. It can be really scary. I made an AI that can play game chess, that can detect a dog, can detect a trash can, and then falsify it, like to make a fake one after. Like, it's crazy what you can do. And it also ruins society. Like, we're using so much electricity on AI.
Every single day, less and less of the content we consume is created by humans, and what's even worse is that all of it is being recycled back into a system that we have very little control over, leaving the internet a shell of what it once was. Scrolling through social media has become an isolated, empty, and fruitless activity. But how exactly did we get here, and is it too late to revive it? The internet started as a weapon of war, not an explicit military war, but a technological battle during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. This pushed American researchers to develop a way of sharing data and programs through a global dispersed network beginning in the early 1960s. The earliest
Look, what it's saying is the internet was never supposed to be for the public until they realized they could monetize it. That's what they're telling you. If you don't know, that's what they're telling you.
version of the internet created between two universities, the University of California and Stanford. Simple messages could be communicated between them, but it was nothing like what we have today. Throughout the 1970s, though, that network continued spreading via the use of phone lines. In 1983, there were only 500 computer hosts connected. Within 5 years, that reached 100,000, rolling out to increasingly more countries. Then, everything changed with the creation of the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web was a simple concept. It was a network of hypertext documents accessed with a program called a browser. By the mid-1990s, it had moved from scientists and governments into the realm of public consumption. The birth of the internet was celebrated as a revolutionary force. With the free transfer and democracy of information, power could be put back in the hands of the people. The borders of regulation and nationalism would be transcended, creating a new age of society. You no longer needed a media or a political platform to air your views. Everyone could become their own publisher.
Let's be honest. Is everyone's thoughts really good, though? I think I made plenty of videos on this. People can be real morons on the internet. They can be some of the dumbest people that has ever existed out there, okay? Like, I mean, I've seen stuff on the internet that you would think are unreal. Like, you would think, how's this guy not in a mental hospital? So I don't know if that's debatably
Something
a
that
good
wasn't
thing.
possible before. There was only one problem: greed. As years turned to decades,
Greed is always a
the internet
problem.
followed a familiar path, the same one almost every other important technological innovation did before and will keep doing. Dozens of internet service providers had emerged, but they slowly began merging into just a few big companies, leaving consumers with no real choice. Just like with radio a century earlier, thousands of different companies were slowly bought or priced out of the market. This was true for both the infrastructure and the web real estate.
Well, now you only got like Google, Microsoft, Apple. You only got the big boys. It's too expensive to exist on the internet otherwise.
By
Amazon.
2001, when the dot-com bubble popped, the top 10 websites made up 31% of page views in the United States. And by 2006, that number climbed to 40% and then 75% in 2010.
Sure.
At the same time, iPhones
YouTube,
and smart
Google.
devices changed our relationship with the internet. Browsing the World Wide Web became less common as people shifted to semi-closed applications.
Jobs
And in
really
2010,
did
these
a
applications accounted for less than a quarter of internet traffic. Today,
giant thing
it's
on the internet.
90%.
Mobile phones.
Keeping users inside the
on the
confines of
internet all the
applications
time.
made advertising more effective. Having created an entirely new ecosystem, Apple was on its way to becoming one of the biggest companies in the world thanks to this closed system. After the dot-com bubble popped, only 5 tech companies were able to survive and thrive: Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft.
Absolutely.
The big 5 are now virtually impossible to avoid on the internet, whether through advertising, e-commerce, or the cloud computing hosts that websites depend on. This tech dominance has permanently changed our society.
Twitch. It runs
and as these
on
industry
Amazon's
giants compete in a
AWS
technological
servers.
arms race for the next big weapon to sell consumers,
I
that
have a
being
certification
artificial
in
intelligence,
AWS.
the last vestiges of a utopian internet could be lost. Connection and truth.
I'm highly interested in this
Welcome
video.
to the Asteroid Union.
Thank you.
A galaxy
Thank
once
you
ravaged
for
by
that.
war,
Really
now
appreciate that.
Nearly 5.5 billion people have access to the internet, and the average user spends 6 hours a day online. It's by far the world's biggest market, and unfortunately, the most valuable commodity in that market is your attention. Views, likes, and reviews are worth their weight in gold, and this has led to a huge shady marketplace for all kinds of engagement. Money has turned the internet into a tiered system, ripe for exploitation. Creating a successful channel or social media profile can be a lucrative long-term investment. With a few clicks and dollars, anyone can buy thousands of Spotify streams, Instagram likes, or YouTube views. How can companies offer these services? Well, employing thousands of people to click on posts manually would be far too expensive. Instead, they use bots, automated, unattended software. When set on a target, they artificially engage with the post, boost it in the rankings, and attract more attention. Websites do their best to scrub bots out, but it's almost impossible to remove them all. Over the last 6
Nearly
years, Meta
impossible.
deactivated over 27 billion fake accounts.
What the heck? Aqua just described on YouTube. Hey, Aqua. Thank you for the subscription. I hope you enjoy this video when it comes out. Thank you. Really appreciate that. You know when this video is made now.
Some believe it's already too late to take action against bots. They think we may have reached a dark tipping point. First posted in 2019, the Dead Internet Theory proposes that we're living in a dystopian ghost town populated by simulated actors. According to the theory, something changed around 2016. The internet had become so saturated by automated content that having a genuine human-to-human interaction was rare, if not impossible. Surfing the web was like driving alone
it's
and
not
only passing
impossible.
automated vehicles on the road. The theory's original poster admitted that it sounded conspiratorial, but they were certain of a feeling that something was distinctly lacking. There was an emptiness online that hadn't been there in the early 2000s. Images, conversations, and memes all began to resemble one another, while forms that were once exciting now felt sanitized. This was all supposedly all carefully curated to keep control of culture and political power, and most of all, to make sure that the general population stays in
Propaganda.
line. The Dead Internet Theory remained on the fringes until 2022, when a grand unveiling brought the issue of bots to global attention. On November 30th, 2022, the world was introduced to ChatGPT. Built on a large language model that processes gigantic datasets and forms relationships between ideas, it is the most advanced form of artificial intelligence ever to exist. For decades, computers have been much more
It gets a
powerful.
lot of that illegally. It just scrapes information from everywhere, literally everywhere, and that's why it has to be free. Because if ChatGPT wasn't free, and a company straight up owned it, it has to make money. But if it wasn't free to use, do you know how much they could just take over? Like how much I'm sure there's millions of pages it scrapes through per every minute, every 30 seconds even. The amount of power ChatGPT takes, it's insanity. It's really that bad.
Than humans at specific tasks, like chess or mathematical calculation. The question that divided computer scientists and philosophers was whether or not computers could ever transition into a kind of general intelligence.
It can't, but until ChatGPT came out, the answer was no, and now it is, because the question was, if it could outdo us, if it could outthink us, outplay us, if it could have its own free will speech pattern, like its free thought, the answer is yes. A really old, hold on. Turing came up with that hypothesis. Now Turing created a little history list. Turing created the Turing machine, and I made my very own Turing machine in university. But he came up with this hypothesis that it would, if a computer had to outsmart, it would, to be sentient, would have to outdo a human, and it did with ChatGPT. It could accomplish its goal.
Mathematician Alan Turing asked this question.
Exact. Look, who went to college and got a degree in computer science? This guy.
In 1950. He developed the Turing test as a way to determine whether a machine was thinking.
Yeah.
The test was simple. For a computer to pass, it has to fool a human into thinking they're talking with another human. Last year, ChatGPT-4 became one of the first to pass the Turing test. We had officially brought a machine to life, and suddenly the dead internet theory became not just a conspiracy, but a likely future. And if we can't distinguish between humans and AI anymore, who can we trust?
You can't look. Here's the thing.
Consider this.
It changes nothing because you can't trust anyone on the internet anyway. You would be a moron, an absolute moron, to trust anyone on the internet at any point in time. You could make a fake account and be like, Facebook a girl and it'd be a guy. So this changes nothing.
49.6% of all internet traffic in 2023 came from bots.
Yep.
Even more
absolutely. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Daunting is that things are likely to get much worse. Now that search engines have started to integrate AI technology like ChatGPT into their services, the flaws have never been more clear. Tech giants are rushing products to the market to compete with each other for supremacy. In the process, there have been some disastrous results. Google's entry into the world of AI, Gemini, told users that rocks are a source of vitamins. Astronauts who landed on the moon encountered cats. Backpacks are just as effective as parachutes when jumping out of a plane.
It's not really their fault. It's that when they take things and compare it, right? So how AI works is it takes a set of instructions and it goes through and it keeps taking sets of instructions, right? And it will compare those instructions over and over to a set. But the issue, Gemini, Bing, Cortana, all Google Assistant, all these AIs have, is it doesn't weed out the jokers, the fakes. Like, if all of the internet was literal, then yeah, there would be no mistakes with AI at all, right? But it's not. People make mistakes. And not only do people make mistakes, people do it on purpose, make jokes, and these all fool AI because they will still use them as references.
These tech-fueled hallucinations come from them trying to piece together gigantic amounts of information that have been compressed. And they do this with an algorithm that identifies the important components and interpolates the missing pieces. Anything creative is usually generated using a composition or altered version of work that has already been created by humans. Artwork and music online are being used as training data for artificial intelligence, leading to many arguing that workers are being exploited. Hundreds of artists backed by the nonprofit Artists' Rights Alliance have signed an open letter seeking to prevent AI from sabotaging and undermining artists.
If you're in art, look, technology is always going to advance. If you're in art, you best give up now. It's going to be worthless in, I want to say, 10 years. I spoke at a conference. I gave a speech, and we had a art professor and the computer science professor and myself and a few other, the art assistant, but I was in computer science assistant. And the art professor straight up said that AI is like having sex with robots. Now that's insanity, right? We all can agree that's insanity. But what he said in that statement is the artists do not understand what AI is capable of. right? And having a position, a partition for it to stop using art and to, it ain't going to stop anything. When there's money to be made, there's money to be made. So that's going to keep on going. AI's going to make way more beautiful art. It's going to look better, fantastic, beautiful, take images, references. You won't even know if it's made by AI or a human or not. So the value of art's just going to drop way down. The value of real art or AI art that's made is going to be in details. How detailed is the image now? You actually really need to work for it if you want to survive as an artist. Otherwise, being an artist is a waste of your time. No. Straight up. It's a dead industry.
On top of that, these models don't know how to judge whether or not a source is trustworthy.
Wait. I am going to hold this statement. If you are an animator artist, you're good. Because AI hasn't reached that yet. And I would say you still have a way more time to survive as an animator. If you're doing anime or a cartoon or something, like look at I've been reviewing Hell of a Boss and has been for a while. Look at Vivcy. If you are an animator like that, you're gonna be okay. If you're going into art, go into animation.
Instead, they gravitate towards popular responses, which can range from reliable academic journals to a meme made by a 17-year-old to gain Reddit karma. One individual created a fake website designed purely to trap crawlers. These are automated programs commonly used by search engines to systematically download the contents of web pages. They realized that the GPT bot was collecting around 3 million pages from their sites every day. This was a small window into the quality of data that is being scraped by chatbot AIs and informing their responses, which isn't exactly a positive sign. What's even worse is that because so much of the internet is already generative AI, the next generation of AI will use content created by the previous generations as training datasets, and with each passing generation, the work these AI tools produce will continue to be less and less human. Search results will be filled with AI-generated content, and finding trustworthy sources will become even more difficult. The word robot was first used in a 1920 Czech science fiction play called Rossum's Universal Robot. It comes from the Czech word robota, which loosely translates to slave. This was a good description of mechanical robots used in production. They were simply tools like a hammer or a calculator. As robots moved into the digital world, though, the relationship between master and slave has been blurred. Online media is already largely controlled by artificial intelligence. Powerful automated programs determine whether content succeeds or fails. Advertisers pay millions for professionals to crack the code of mysterious algorithms. Because they're constantly changing, these programs essentially create a secretive inner functionality process not even known to those who design it. Left at the mercy of pattern recognizing supercomputers, our behavior has been shaped around them. Social media sites have shifted from authentic social engagement to prioritizing consumption-driven models.
Absolutely. Being artificially inflated anywhere gets you way more popular than it not happening. For sure.
As long as they can keep you online, it's good for business.
Because then
While
you get ads.
Algorithms
and
process unimaginably large data sets to create profiles of you as a consumer, categorizing your online behavior to create personalized ads. All it takes is a single click to fill your feed with a certain subject, pulling you in to consume more. The system rewards copycats and imitators who observe successful content, and they have no choice. To survive, online creators, influencers, and marketers must constantly seek the algorithm's approval. In the end, even the humans who create are forced to create generic, unoriginal content. And there's a reason people are complaining about the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. But who can you blame? When a creator feels like the only way they can succeed is to appease the almighty algorithm and they see how well Jimmy Donaldson does that, why shouldn't they copy him? As Friedrich Nietzsche argued, people tend to follow the herd for protection, afraid to show authenticity and confront truth. With this comes nihilism, where the herd drifts aimlessly without meaning or certainty. That is reflected in the algorithm. The content we consume and perpetuate leaves us in an infinite cycle of emptiness. Our aesthetics and values are now curated by non-human forces. So is our culture still ours? Are humans the ones giving the orders, or has technology become our master?
Technology is
The
not giving our
commercialization of
master.
the internet, the concentration of a handful of companies, and the creation of a quick but dangerously inaccurate generative tool have given us a technology that is manipulating
AI
our
can be
deepest
scary.
weaknesses. The emergence
sure.
of bot armies offers a shortcut for business development. AI offers a shortcut
Don't
to
show me
creativity
Python code. I don't want to
or
see it.
low-quality
It's
content
such a
production.
Oh, jeez.
Powerful algorithms have fueled our addiction to short-form content. Has the internet become a carefully constructed reality we've all been presented with? Not to the extent that the dead internet theory describes, but as artificial intelligence spreads through the internet, our sense of reality is being seriously shaken. It's a wake-up call to change course before it's too late. To keep the internet alive, we need the courage to break away from the herd, acknowledge that the current systems aren't working, and that humanity is more important than profit. If you like the videos we make and would love
All right. Yeah, that was